Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4! And today, spawning in the south corner of the map, playing in blue, we've got Aoe4, playing as the English. And battling against them today, spawning in the north in red, we've got Vortix, playing as the Delhi Sultanate. Welcome everyone to Lipany. As always, hope you guys are having a great morning, good afternoon, good evening. And we've got the rank 1 player at the moment in Age of Empires 4, battling out against, well, obviously one of the best players in Age of Empires 4 as well, Aoe4. It's English versus the Delhi, and it's a curious matchup. We've got the Delhi at the moment in an incredibly strong position with, well, the Dome of the Faith landmark. It has revolutionized the way the civilization plays. They have an incredible strong units in the form of the elephants, if they can get there, and especially in the Castle Age, and, well, more importantly, the Imperial Age, when they can get the Hussar Academy, which gives them a tower elephant every, well, I can't remember exactly how quick it is. I think it's dependent on how many scholars you have. Either way, free units, free elephants. What's not to like about that? You've got the English that have got, good strength in the late game themselves. But I'm curious on a map like Lipany how that changes things up as well. It's a relatively closed map at times, and so the rush distance is not particularly short, which is what the Delhi Sultanate like to get, because they get very many units very quickly. Especially when you factor in efficient production, which allows scholars to garrison inside military buildings, boosting up the speed by 100%. It's a real powerhouse part of the Delhi Sultanate, allows them to get many units very quickly. The problem is, going up against English is hard to punish at times. The network of castles bonus is incredibly strong. It gives them an alarm early warning system, but more importantly, it gives the units the ability to attack 20% faster. And that can really pose problems if you are trying to dive the town centre. Even with Ghazi Raiders with the +1 armor, it can be a tricky situation. Curious to see how Vortix plays this one out. Now, Vortix is a player who is incredibly gifted, incredibly aggressive in his playstyle, and he did actually take a bit of time away from Age of Empires 4 to pursue other games, Stormgate being one of them, and Age of Mythology, but he's back in full force now, especially with the new siege changes that have happened, with the Springles not really, being an anti-siege unit anymore, and etc, etc. Lots of changes have happened, but Vortix is back. And we love to see that. We love to see the pro players entering back into the scene. And I'm glad he's back. He's going to go for the Dome of the Faith as we expect. It's going to be the Abbey of Kings for the English. I'm kind of curious to see whether Wham will play this as a 2-town centre, opening after the king comes out. And I think there's a high chance for it, because on a map like Lipany, you can usually get away with it, right? If you're playing for an English 2-town centre into White Tower, into Castle Age, the question is, well, is your opponent going to be able to stop that and want to kind of, I guess, punish you for that? The Delhi are in a good position to do that. They're a civilization that gets units very quickly. But on a map like Lipany, it can be a tricky one. We'll have to watch and wait and see. Either way, I'd like to say a very big thank you, by the way, for everyone who's been supporting the channel, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I know it's been a bit of a while. It's, at the end of December, unfortunately, I actually got pretty sick and unwell. Nothing like super major, but it took me out of action for about 2 weeks or something. And then the kids got ill, and then, you know how it goes. But yeah, we kind of lost a bit of momentum there with the videos. But I think the break helped me a little bit. I'm a bit more refreshed and a little bit more rejuvenated, shall we say, back into the action for Age of Empires. Lots to unpack and uncover. And I think during the holiday period anyway, things kind of slowed down a little bit. Not too many pro players were playing, obviously. Probably spending time with their family. And hope you guys had a good time during the winter break. Speaking of winter breaks, the Winter Championship with EGC TV is on at the moment. Pretty excited to see another 1v1 tournament. We've had a couple of team tournaments and things, and but it's kind of nice to be back with the 1v1 action again. It's a pretty slow start, but kind of expected. Only 5 minutes on the clock. I suspect these scholars will be moving out relatively soon, maybe in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Of course, once the upgrades do come on in. That's a lot of sheep actually the Vortix has managed to gather. 17 of them versus only a handful for Wham. So not really a great start there for Wham. Now, of course, the English do typically like to get farms nice and early, but still, it's probably more about denying the sheep off your enemy. And the reason why is because actually, the Delhi, if they can live off the free food on the map, whether it be the deer camp, the berries, of which there are many on Lipany, that gives them a much larger time, a larger window to do significant damage. In Age of Empires, having the free resources on the map, it brings a nice dynamic, an interesting dynamic. If you're new to Age of Empires 4, give me a moment and I'll explain it. Really, the issue is transitioning food resources. So you've got the free food on the map, whether it be berries, deer packs, or that's kind of the main ones really. And then you've got the longer term forms of food with the farms. But the farms cost wood, so it's a bit of an investment. Now that investment, obviously, it's a big take on your resources. Resources that you could actually technically funnel into army if you weren't spending it on farms. And so the reason why that's such a big deal is if you have to transition to farms, it means you can't keep up production of units to take battles with. And if your enemy already has his farm set up nicely, which the English typically like to do, it can be a problem. The Delhi will be aggressive, have lots of units, put a big fight, a bit of a push. But then when they start to run out of food on the map to take for free, they'll need that farming transition, and then the steam kind of runs out for a little while. So really for the English in this game, it's going to be about them being able to defend an oncoming push. You know, they would have had the farms pretty much set up, but they've got to hold, right? But once they do hold, that gets them in a good spot, right? Because once they've held, they've got the farms set up, the Delhi will then need to get their farms, and the Delhi can't keep producing units, so you know the English have a bit of a breathing space. So the big question is whether the English and Wham can defend that push, which is inevitably going to be coming in, and it will be a second town centre play for Wham, by the way, putting the town centre around the back with the deer and the gold and the wood in a very nice spot, actually. You can't really ask for too much more than that, especially with the double berry patch next door. A very nice position for that second town centre. And the king is already out and out. Going to get a villager kill here. Very nice start to the game for Wham. All these little bits of details really do matter because if Wham can hold off a push, which will be inevitably coming at sort of 15-minute mark, I imagine, he will have a great economy with double town centre production of villages. Now granted, of course, the Delhi will bridge the gap in the economy by getting the sacred sites, gives them valuable gold. And I'm kind of curious to see who'll get to the castle age first, because it will be a race to the relics. Now the Delhi Sultanate do love a good race to the relics. They get the castle age, the scholars can go on the map already, immediately, and just grab them as soon as they get to the castle age. It's a really good technique they can use. Not many civilizations can do the same, and so, yeah, they're in a good spot in that regard. They've got to get there, though, and looks like Wham is going to be starting to invest in a double barracks and a stable. The spearmen for the Ghazis. Trouble with that is, of course, Vortix is incredibly good with his micro, and the spearmen, of course, have a slower movement speed, so the Ghazis should be able to outmaneuver and just sort of, run around them and not hopefully take too much damage if you're a Delhi supporter. The scholar going to be hacked and slashed. The Ghazis trying to get as much HP off the king as possible. And here we go. There's the spearman actually getting some good value. I mean, these are against scouts anyway, so the scouts will regenerate health. And this is the micro we're talking about, right? So the Ghazis, they do not regenerate health as the scouts do. And so absorbing the attacks from the spearmen to the scouts is great because the scout... Oh, we just lost it there, to be fair, unfortunately. So it worked out for Wham in the end. But yeah, all three sacred sites are now in control of the Delhi. Puts them in a good spot to gather that gold to bridge the gap between the village accounts, which is actually starting to rise, and the king will go down there because of the extra movement speed of the Ghazi raiders. And unfortunately, Wham does need to try and reset and regroup. He has been able to push away the Delhi for quite some time, though, and so he's been able to build up quite a strong economy lead. But he will need to get on the map sooner rather than later to decap the sacred sites. The last thing you want is to have a 10-minute timer, which he's got now. He needs to try and deactivate that because he's probably going to need more than 10 minutes before he can really break out with a substantial force. Speaking of substantial force, this force is probably not going to be enough to get too much damage, but he's garrison inside the town centre, spearmen chasing, and looks like he's going to go for the west sacred site. This is something actually Vortix does need to deny. He needs to stop the decap because it may not seem like a big deal at this stage of the game, but ultimately he needs to keep up the pressure. He needs to keep Wham having to come out on the map and punish. This is, in a way, is a way to punish a second town centre play from the English to actually get the sacred site win condition active, which he does now have. But the spearmen now, in this situation, they don't need to rely on movement speed, which is a good thing. They can just keep attacking, putting pressure on the sacred sites. But Vortix doing well to keep them alive for now. Now, bear in mind, of course, when Wham does keep a unit on the sacred site uncontested, the sacred site timer does actually stop. It pauses. That's a big deal. Buys as much time as possible. Now, some idle time has been caused, but not significant eco damage, really. Looks like Vortix might be thinking about the castle age as it happens. He's stockpiled quite a bit of gold, but obviously a lot of that's down to the sacred sites. Sometimes if you're going very feudal age heavy, you can get a market and trade in the gold for food and wood to make more units. But I suspect in this sort of situation it's probably not a good idea because the English will eventually look to get to that castle age, and so the gold is pretty useful to have to make a good transition into castle age units, whether it be man-at-arms, crossbows, or lancers. Now these spearmen getting some good value here. Not enough archers in the mix for Vortix. And this is quite punishing. He's losing quite a few Ghazi raiders. And this is great for Wham. But back at home, he is being raided. But ultimately, you know, how much can be done here? I mean, Vortix hasn't actually killed a single villager. And he's lost a lot of Ghazi raiders to the town centre. Now, eventually this push will fizzle out. But Wham has got definitely got a lot of value from these units. Not only is he taking down Ghazi raiders, but more importantly, and I'd arguably say it's more important, is that he's actually kept Vortix away from his base. He's been able to get the second town centre rocking and rolling. Decap has come on in. That's a big problem here for Vortix. This push by Wham enabled him to do that, and it's very, very significant because it resets the timer, right? And so now Wham can feel a bit more comfortable about being defensive. Not too much of a problem. He's already got a cluster of farms. You can see Vortix has actually still gone on the sheep. Still got plenty of sheep to be taken. Some deer camp still remaining. But he's been focusing on the berries for now. And we'll be looking to capture rather, the sacred site on the west side once again. And he's looking to go to the castle, but looking to see the scholars getting in position. We talked about this earlier in the cast. When you get to the castle age of the Delhi, you want your scholars in position. You want them over the relics, standing over them, to grab them really quickly. And when you think about the late game situation, this is a good spot for Delhi in some ways. You know, whilst he would like to do some more damage, if he can pick up the lion's share of the relics, and then get to the super late game, he could be in a good spot. It's not necessarily Vortix's playstyle, but there's a potential to make it work. Of course, though, whilst up to now it's been more or less Delhi's time to be shining on the map, the English will have their way soon. As this buzzing economy, 20 extra villagers will start to translate very soon into a strong military count. Well, not a good fight there for Vortix at all. He loses 2 Ghazi raiders. He does have his castle age in play. He's decapped the sacred site there, Wham on the right side. So again, it's really about making the use of the limited units he has, and he's doing it really well. With the castle age in play, he's going to try and grab as many of the relics as possible. This scholar might be cut off. We'll have to wait and see. He's actually picked up all 5 of the relics, would you believe? The question is, how many can he bring home? I imagine a lot of them. They're all making their way home now. Horsemen around the back there for Wham. Now, this is very purposeful. This group of horsemen won't necessarily do significant damage, but it's about keeping Vortix's army at home and away from Wham's base as he looks to try and age up, which I presume would be with the White Tower. It would make a lot of sense to at least. Yeah, this is great for Wham. Vortix would love to be just running around Wham's base right now with his castle age units, but can't quite manage it. Isn't able to get one of the relics, got sniped. Looking to decap the second of the 3 sacred sites now here, Wham. But 3 relics will be brought back at least, it seems. 1 in play already. Well, yeah, 3 has actually been deposited. 2 in the Dome of the Faith and 1 in the regular mosque. And there's the 4th. So good haul of relics. Is probably going to pick this one up as well. So likely to get all 5. It does go a long way to bridge the gap between the 2 economies. But with the farming transition in full force for the English, and not so much for the Delhi. They are getting professional scouts, so we'll be getting the deer camp. But this is really starting to get into the position we talked about earlier on in the cast, how the Delhi, they're not so much on a timer, but their push is coming. And that push is sustained by the food that's free on the map. Once the food runs out, as long as Wham can survive this push, he'll be in a good spot, because he's got, you know, a good long-term source of food in terms of these farms. It will be the White Tower in the end. The question is, how much damage can Vortix do before that White Tower fully goes up? He's building it with 15 villagers and he's got his units protecting that. Yeah, understandably so. It's quite common when you age up, it's when you're most vulnerable, and Vortix would be loving to die for this, but he doesn't really have enough units to do that, and Wham has been able to produce a lot. So he should be safe to get the age up. Yeah, it's tempting to dive in here for Vortix, but I don't think he achieves too much by doing this, and he might lose a good few units doing it too. He certainly will. Well, adding in, it's mostly cavalry units and archers. No man-at-arms here for the Delhi. There's that age up now with the White Tower, so Wham's going to be feeling safe and secure. Looks like actually Vortix is collecting stone. Now, there's a couple of reasons why you might want to do that. You might want to get a keep. Well, that's exactly why you'd want to do it, but you'd want to maybe get a defensive keep, place it on a key resource to, you know, essentially act as another town center for the Delhi. Or be aggressive with it and place the keep in a forward position. The white tower's in a good spot here. This could be a nice position for the keep. The reason why is because actually, if you look at the resources you want to deny with an offensive keep, you've got 2 wood lines here. This is the majority of Wham's wood lines, and so a keep here could be in a really good spot. We'll see exactly what it decides to do. Another position could be here on the stone, because then when you've got that position secured, your villagers that are there mine more stone to get a second keep, and you try and get a good stronghold on the map. We'll see what Vortix is planning to do. He's almost going to be showing his hand, because he's almost got enough stone for a keep. Sacred Site timer at 10 minutes. He's done a great job in this match here, Wham, to really delay that win condition potential. Spearman trying to chase. Could be some significant losses here for Wham, because there's a lot of archers for Delhi. Here come the Lancers too. Yeah, it's going to be a good fight for Vortix in the end, and Wham might have to back away. He loses the king once again. Just 1 horseman around the back looking to raid, cause some problems. Oh, it is going to be a forward keep. Vortix going to come on through. I hope he has textiles. That would certainly help, but I'm not sure if he's got it. He does have it. So he's going to get prepped for a forward keep, and I don't think actually Wham's got enough to do with this, right? He just took a bad fight. He doesn't really have enough units to stop it. This could be a bad position for Wham, actually. Getting a keep in their forward position gives him a lot of strength. I would love to see some palisade walls, though, I got to say, against the sacred sites, because it's been far too many times he's had to decap on the sacred sites. And it means that Wham still has a lifeline here. Plenty of villages, buzzing economy. But he's going to be under pressure now. But this pressure is backed up with a really good farming transition. And let's take a look at the food situation for the Delhi, because as we said, sure, he's got 54 military units, but there's going to come a time where that's going to slow down if he needs that farming transition. There's a couple of deer stacks here still, so he should be okay for the short term. Maybe next 5-10 minutes he'll be fine, but after that, Vortix will need to take a breather and get the farming transition underway. Archers need to hold the position. There's a lot of cavalry in for the English. Spearman too is taking the fight. I mean, he's going to try and deny... I mean, he's not going to deny the keep in the end, but he's going to try and take the best fight he can here, Wham. Fighting underneath the town centre. And, well, now Wham probably has to back away, because that keep will go up. King goes down once again. Probably the 3rd or 4th time, I believe. He continues to take this fight. Wham needs to back out, though, because there's 15 villagers garrisoned inside the keep, and we're dishing out some good damage. I'm just going to lose a couple cavalry units if he dives in once again, Wham. Vortix with a really good strong position, but he's got to make sure... I think the win condition here has got to be the sacred sites. Oh, Wham could decap that. Oh, he's decapped the right one anyway. That's quite rough actually for Vortix. It doesn't seem like a big deal at the moment, but I think it's a big one. There were 7 minutes on the clock, and if he kept that ticking, Wham would be finding it difficult, because the way to think about it is that if he had to push out on the sacred sites with a full force or a good force, that would leave him exposed in the main base, and that's where Vortix could have taken advantage. But because he's decapped it, now Wham, all he needs to really do is hold for as long as possible to allow his economy to then feed a military force that can just overrun this. He's already got a trebuchet working on the keep, and that forces out the repairs for Vortix. Here's a trebuchet for Vortix. Can look to take out some infrastructure, but if Wham can hold, although the position looks a bit dire at the moment, his economy will speak volumes later on in the game if he can get there. It's a big if for now, but there's potential. For Vortix's side, he's got to keep pumping. He's got to keep up the pressure, do some significant damage before the food runs out. Speaking of food, both got relatively modest food income. So we might see a transition into siege, taking advantage of the wood and gold situations for both players. Yes, focusing on the White Tower. Might need to get some villagers to repair this Wham. He's saving up a bit of wood for it, maybe. Again, 3rd sacred site. And this not being capped, it's a bit of a rough one. The question is, where does Vortix go for his second keep? He's got villagers on stone, although, actually, I don't think he's going to be able to afford one for quite some time. He's having to repair with his villagers. 4 trebuchets for Vortix. The repairs coming out for the White Tower, too. Now, bear in mind, the White Tower does produce the trebuchets twice as fast as a regular siege workshop, so it's a really good landmark for them. The White Tower is in flames, about to go down. Insufficient wood. This should go down, actually. Wham, he doesn't have enough wood. He would need to buy it, but he doesn't have the resources to do so. So the White Tower will go down in the end. Keep is still in repairs for Vortix. Now, the trouble is he's actually kept up with the archer numbers. It feels like the archers are a little less relevant in this game right now. Going to be needing a lot more crossbows considering the number of knights on the field for Wham. The white tower down now. This is looking a bit dicey for Wham. He needs to hold on still. But his military numbers are looking semi-decent. He's got to take this force out if he can. And he's winning this fight, actually. I mean, it all comes down to the unit types, right? Sure, he's got 40 military units on the field here, Vortix. But a lot of these units are archers that kind of tickle these knights at best. And that's why Wham feels confident pushing this. He's going to try and take out a trebuchet or two if he can. That'd be important. He's held on for now, but he's only got 8 military units, so Wham's definitely got to need to reset. But this is coming at a great time. It looks like food is running out for Vortix. He's going to need that farming transition. You can see he's got the wood for it to start it going. There's not too much food on the map for him. Although, actually, there's a bit of berry bushes still. He's got maybe another 5-10 minutes in it. The archer's managing to push on in. White tower about to come back online. Huge repair cost associated with it, but it's definitely going to be worth it in the end. And there it is. It comes online, and now, yeah, Vortix definitely needs to back away once again. Again, with still 4 trebuchets, it's a bit of deja vu. Wham has got to deal with this. Wait, he could pop out villagers. Villagers from the town centre could come out. In fact, he's just going to... Okay, he's sending everything. Wait, what's going on? He doesn't have textiles as well, which is pretty big. Thought for a second there he might get some villagers out of the town centre, but he's actually taken out with the town centre fire anyway, Vortix. He's losing 2 trebuchets to the town centre fire, and that is huge. He's the white... Oh, it's in flames again! He's got to get the repairs out. He might go down with the next volley, actually. It's kind of curious. Here come the villagers from the right this time, and I think he takes them out. There's 2 trebuchets... Wait! Oh, just one more volley would have done it! Can Wham get the repairs? Wham, repair it, repair it. We'll keep an eye on this because he is being pushed back. The trebuchets will go down. Oh, he's going to lose the white tower. It looks like it anyway. Unless villagers get pulled. No, he's not doing it. Okay, he's going to lose the white tower for now. But he's taken out the trebuchets at least, and he's starting to push this back. Well, some villagers have been lost to this. I wonder if the farming transition is coming anytime soon. Still got a couple more minutes on it. Vortix's keep is still alive, but it's taking some heavy losses. The question you have to ask yourself, actually, how much benefit has this keep gotten? Because he's had to repair it so much. It's a big drain on the resources. Not only that, the villagers, right? Because these villagers could have been gathering. She's dancing around in dismay. This lady, or is it a chap? Looks like it's a chap. And keep might go down in the end anyway. The lack of units is kind of alarming here for Wham. The timer has been reset. 8 minutes on the clock for the sacred site timer. And you got to feel like this has got to be his win condition, right? Because, make no mistake, this farming transition behind Wham's economy is incredibly important. Because once Vortix rather needs to start seeding those farms, he can't keep up military production. And so this pressure will start to wax and wane. And so Wham will move out on the map. There goes down the keep. And I think now it might just be a case of the win condition for Vortix has got to be sacred site victory. Continues to produce. But he is now transitioning onto the last and final berry batch. Although there's one here on the west side, pretty far out to travel to though. Vortix gathering some more stone, maybe prepping for another keep. I love this detail though. He's actually got a scholar inside this forward workshop. It means he's getting efficient production. So we'll be able to produce twice as fast with the siege engines. He's still got good map control, Vortix, so he won't be too disheartened about the keep going down for now at least. But he's got to keep these sacred sites chiming away. You can see Vortix's wood situation. He had 1,000 in the bank, just spent 500 in a blink of an eye. And here comes the farming transition in an awkward timing for him, right? Because he can't keep up production of units easily now. It means that Wham has weathered the storm. Now he's going to be able to push out. Look at his production. It's going to be absolutely huge. He's got a full set of farms and look at the food income. 2,000 per minute here for Wham. Only 700 here for Vortix. Got some good blacksmith upgrades as well, Wham. Although could do with some melee ones. Goes back into the network of castles. Bonus. Villagers have to back away for wood. This is a critical situation. We talked about the wood situation on this side of the map. This is the 2 wood lines that Wham needs. Vortix recognizing that and actually could place a keep there. He's got enough stone for it. He needs to get control of this side of the map if he can. He's got the units to do so. I think he needs a keep. The keep here would be in a good spot on this stone. Double stone, in fact. This could be a really solid position. Stops the 2 wood lines from being taken for Wham. Oh no, not the sacred sites again. Wham has done such a great job just sneaking out units to do this. Oh no, it's reset the timer. And bear in mind, it's a bad situation for Vortix in this scenario now because Wham's economy is almost double the number of villagers. Yeah, granted there are 5 relics in for Vortix, and that definitely helps. There's not going to be enough to cover the cost of being this number of villagers behind. Speaking of villagers, holy moly, Wham's sending so many here. Yeah, he wants the wood, he needs the wood. But this time, I think he should be okay, Wham. Oh, there's the keep going up, Vortix. Yeah, it was a bit more defensive than perhaps he would have wanted, but he had no choice, really. Couldn't put it in the forward position. The keep will go up in the end, but, you know, he's taking a kind of it's not a particularly great fight for Vortix in the end. And the villager coming out to torch, this is probably not a good idea. I mean, to be fair, boiling oil is not there. Does he have textiles? He doesn't have textiles yet, I think, Wham. Oh, he does now. He does. Either way, he's still going to lose a couple. I mean, this is what is going on with the English villagers? They're all over the place. There are 2 trebuchets now working on the keep. In the meantime, Wham is out here on the gold. And that's where he's getting the gold from. Fortunately, Vortix has not scouted it out. He's not seen it. He's on the berries close by, but he won't know about it. Yeah, I think a lot of the economy will be starting to filter into farms now for Vortix before too long. He still surprisingly managed to keep up with a good number of units, though. And it's a curious decision to stick with archers. In some ways it does really well against the spearmen, but I guess in a way a crossbow would potentially achieve, you know, both situations, being able to take out the spearmen and the knights. But they're of course gold hungry units, although gold is not necessarily a problem here for Vortix. Now, I keep having to be repaired once again. In fact, there aren't actually 2 trebuchets remaining. I think he must have lost them here, Wham. Either way, mass transition of villagers on the west side. He needs the gold here, Wham. Plenty of outposts to protect them. The lonely villager gathering berries will be taken out in the end. Vortix's miniature numbers still pretty surprisingly high. Oh, Lancers coming up on the west side. Some good value, good damage here. Wham's going to need to do something about this. He's not noticed it just yet. Yeah, definitely a pivot to the west side of the map for Wham, and it's a good idea because it also gets close to the sacred site. So it can kind of deny that win condition. Here come the knights to take out the lancers in the end. Ooh, good number of knights on the villagers. Oh, that's going to cut off food income, which is a big deal for Vortix at this moment. He's still got a very respectable 2,000 food per minute coming on in. I think it must have been from the berries. Which are now starting to run out, so I think that income will plummet. Yeah, we can see it dropping down now to 1,500. Or we're going to go even further down. He's taking the fight with the knights, but this is mass archers here from Vortix. Now, he's got a sizable number, so he is doing damage to these knights. There's a good chance if Wham actually took that fight, he could do a good job against it. He wants to fight with network of castles, I suspect. Looks like Vortix now is prepping for a bit of a push on the west side, which is where the big chunk of the economy is for Wham. It's certainly understandable he wants to be on this side, but look at the food income, almost double there for Wham compared to Vortix. That's where things become a little bit rough. Not yet able to one-shot these knights. He does two-shot them in the end at least. Ghazi's trying to hold on and try and tank. Knights getting ever closer. They're trying to catch up, and this is where the fight really works well for Wham, right? He's got heavily armored units against archers. Around the back, Vortix trying to get some raiding value. Probably won't achieve too much. This should be a good, decent fight. Although reinforcements coming in nicely for for Wham actually, as it happens. I was about to say for Vortix, but look at the number of units coming in now. Spearmen added into the mix. Vortix might have to retreat with those villagers. He's definitely have to back away for now, at least. And the keep position here is going to be under threat before too long. This is the push that Wham's wanted. He's been pegged back at home for half an hour in the game. Now all of a sudden his superior economy is really starting to make inroads. He's pushing out probably the most advanced we've seen Wham's army for a long time. He's killing a significant number of villagers. Eventually the push will run out of steam. Now, there's a chance that Vortix might... I mean, he's not actually producing villagers as it happens in the forward key positions. Which is a bit of a shame. Oh, he is from this one. Not from this one, though. Probably not bound to the hotkeys, I guess. Very exposed farms, but you can definitely see this is a position that Wham wants to keep protected and secured. He's got gold income, he's got food income, he's got wood income. And he's kind of forced into this position because of the keep on the right side for Vortix. Plenty of stone being gathered for Wham. Now the spring order placements actually doing a really good job here for these outposts. It really makes it difficult for Vortix to dive in. Certainly got the big flashiness of keeps, but actually never underestimate the power of spring order placement on outposts. They're incredibly strong. Wham trying to get some value here, but there's a keep after all. He'll suffer 2 villager casualties. Yeah, but every keep just seems to be pushed back here for Vortix, but he's got no choice. Needs to secure up a bit of wood income there. Yeah, here's the mass wood expenditure for the deli on the farms. And this is where it gets scary, right? Vortix has just made a huge investment. And Wham's economy, he is set up so nicely. He's going to be able to afford Imperial Age, but yeah, there we go. Really quickly. He's going for the Wingard Palace. Gives them access to rangers and also be able to produce units very quickly as he does get to the Imperial Age. A massive group of horsemen around the back. Could be looking to raid. Now, military numbers still pretty good here for Vortix. But bear in mind, it's a composition which isn't particularly mobile. And so as the aggression does come in for Wham, he might pull Vortix... Oh, he's not spotted it, Wham. That could have been devastating for those villagers. But they live to fight another day. But with the Imperial Age in play, this is where the English farms really come into position and power. Because, I mean, this is a situation where Vortix can't really get to the Imperial Age. I mean, if he tries to, he might suffer some huge fight losses and he won't be able to replace the army quick enough, I don't think. So imagine once... It's a tricky situation, right? Because once Wham does get to the Imperial Age, Vortix is going to want to put some pressure. Either that or go to the Imperial Age himself. One of the two. And looks like it's the pressure option he's going for. He's got to get some damage in. But the economy is just looking so good here for Wham. He should be able to afford some good upgrades pretty quickly. He's lacking in a bit of wood though, which is a bit of a theme in this game for him. But the spring replacement outpost will definitely buy some time. Especially in considering there's not that much torch damage coming out of this, right? It's mostly ranged units. It's going to focus on many villages as possible. This is the mainstay of the gold income here for Vortix. Oh, this is where it becomes disastrous, right? Military numbers are actually looking pretty decent for Wham. He's got the right army composition. Mostly cavalry against a lot of archers. That's exactly what Wham would want. And he's taking this fight. Look at the unit numbers pumping out now. And he should get a good surround on this. Vortix having to back away. He's an age behind. He's on the retreat. This is probably only going to get harder for him. He's had a lot of map control for the majority of the game, but slowly but surely, map control is slipping out of his grip. As Wham whittled down the numbers of the Delhi Sultanate army and going to bring the army back home now. He's getting upgrades. He's going to get the elite horseman upgrade. He's got the elite spearman upgrade too. Nothing being made out of the Wingard Palace just yet. the great thing is that... Oh, he's not actually queued it up. Enclosures is a tech that actually I'm sure Wham would love to have right now. Now, if the Delhi can hold, it becomes almost a reversal of the playstyle that's been happening so far. If the Delhi can hold, get to the super late game, he's actually going to go for the Palace of the Sultan. Interesting choice. Oh, this is the one actually. I thought it was the Hisar Academy. My mistake. It was the Palace of the Sultan that does this. Yeah, this is the one we're looking for. Where you automatically produce Sultan's elite tower elephants. I'm pretty sure in the earlier part of the cast I said it was Hisar Academy. It is indeed the this Palace of the Sultan that we're looking for as the strong landmark for the late game Delhi. You know, just going to get surrounded. There's just so many cavalry units, and yeah, Wham will be really happy about taking this fight. Even though it's underneath the keep, it doesn't matter so much. Because he's now got Imperial Age units. These are elite horsemen after all. Doesn't have the third ranged armor, but still, in any case, he'll sweep up these archer numbers, and the archers just do not scale particularly well in the late game. Now looking to get some stone walls as well, just to protect that entrance, and this is going to get dicey now for Vortix. He's under a lot of pressure. He's going to lose the mainstay of his army. Sure, he gets the Imperial Age. The question is, though, has he got enough to hold this push that's inevitably coming on in? It almost feels like he doesn't. Stone walls on the right side, keeps him protected from raids. Keep on the right side as well with the bombard. This keep won't be able to last for too long unless the villagers come out to torch it down. But look at the cavalry now. They're going to burn their way through. And yeah, Vortix needs to pump out units as quickly as possible. But of course, he's had a hard farming transition. And it's not fully yet online yet. He needs units. He needs it fast. The trouble is, this is Imperial Age units versus Castle Age units effectively, because it takes a while for these Delhi Sultanate units to be upgraded. There is a bit of a lag time in terms of power spike, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen, GG gets called. Vortix wasn't able to lag out the game any longer, and despite having so much control, in the end, the rank 1 player in Age of Empires 4 right now falls victim to the English. Hope you guys enjoyed the castle game, and if you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and I'll see you next time.